Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul joined alongside Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia. Please remember, everyone, to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. We are over 10,000 subscribers now. We did it before the NFL draft. We were surprised. Actually, not surprised. We were very hopeful to get to that number, and we finally did. Not sure what our goal is before the season, but appreciate everyone who's been listening to all these videos, been commenting. The engagement's been awesome, Ziggy, especially in the mailbags. We love going through mailbag questions, and we'll have a mailbag at the end of this episode. We weren't able to hit every single question, but we have a pretty good number of them. Now, one way to always have your question read is if you become a member of the Paul Farrington Show. To do that, go to our homepage, and you could click a little button that says join, and you become a member. So you pay like what, $4.99, $5 a month, and you can have as many comments as you want, unlimited. You can say whatever you want, and we have to read it. So some listeners have taken advantage of that and made me say certain things about the Packers, which I don't really like to say, but they've done it and, take advantage of the system. So we appreciate everyone who has signed up to become a member. And what was it, 50 members? Zach made me agree to 50 members, and I'll do another episode in the Jordan Love jersey, which is just... if you haven't seen it,
I'll throw on the Packers poncho too if we hit 50.
Oh, yeah, and Ziggy,
outrageous.
Oh, I can't believe you even have that Packer poncho. That was a horrible episode. The Jordan Love jersey is in a box I'm looking at right now. It's not on display in this basement. Only Vikings memorabilia down here, but there is a hint of that dark green, disgusting color that is in a box across from me. So you could become a member, leave any comment you want, and we will read it. A really fun show today. We're going to actually go through our top 10 teams, me, Ziggy, and you see on the screen right now, Jack's name is here. Jack will be here in a little bit, so we'll have a grand introduction for Jack as he enters the studio. We just had to get started a little bit earlier today. So even though there is no Jack sitting next to me right now, he will be here at some point in the show today. We're going to be going over our top 10 teams, the three of us, and then we will also be breaking down our most improved team of the offseason. Which team made the biggest splashes to now potentially, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Super Bowl contender, but who has elevated themselves to a point of contention now. Ziggy's team and my team are on very different trajectories next year, still very improved. And then, of course, as I said at the end, a mailbag. We appreciate everyone for making those contributions. So without further ado here, Ziggy, top 10 teams. I'll kick it to you first. Going through this upcoming season, right now, post-draft, a lot of things can change. I'm sure a lot will. We've been flip-flopping all over the place. But as it stands today, on May 2nd, who are your top 10 teams? We'll go from 10 to 1.
So this is tough just because, there's so much unknown at this point. And a couple of these teams, I think the team that was hardest to leave off was the Rams. Just because if all things are firing and the defense is okay, that could be a great team. But that's the honorable mention. At number 10, I don't think it's going to make a lot of people's top 10s, but they're there for me. Cleveland Browns. I think that based on what we saw last season from Joe Flacco, I feel like a broken record at this point, but if Deshaun Watson can just get some average quarterback play together, dangerous team. Number 9, you got the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. No need for there. They're usually pretty good. Number 8, the Cincinnati Bengals. I know a lot of people are high on this team. Joe Burrow is going to be back. He got a lot of skill position players, but I don't know. We've seen one good run out of this team, and that's sort of it. To go higher, I'd have to see more from them. Number 7 is the Ravens. This Ravens team could be a lot better than this, but no team has lost more this offseason than the Ravens. Between the coaches and the players, like so many people have left. Mm-hmm. And they were able to make some interesting replacements in the draft, but it's tough to lose that many pieces and still be good. Number 6, Buffalo Bills. Similar story. Really good quarterback. Really good team last year, but they lost some key contributors. They had a little bit of coach turnover. So I'd like to see a little bit more from them before they move up. Now we're in the top 5. Number 5, you got the Packers.
Okay.
Now, look, again, this team could go higher, but we've seen, 11 good games out of them. I'd like to see a little bit more before I move them higher, but number 5 is pretty good.
Top 5 team in the league. So you can't go much higher than that.
I mean, I think they could finish the year at number 1. But
wow, okay.
When you've got a quarterback, when you've got a defense that hopefully should be better, when you've got developing skill position players, there's a lot there. Now their rival, the Lions, are at number 4. This Lions team was great last year. No doubt about it. You hope they can continue the momentum, but they haven't really lost anything. They've added a whole lot of players in the secondary. There's a lot to like there. Number 3, this is really high, and there's a lot of projection here. But I think the Houston Texans could be a top 3 team in the league next year.
Wow.
You've got so many young players on defense. Will Anderson and Derek Stingley are going to be stars. CJ Stroud could continue to take a step forward. And even if long-term, I don't think the Diggs move is as big a deal as people are making it out to be, you should get a good amount of production out of him next year.
So here you are this offseason. You don't like Joe Mixon. You don't like Danielle Hunter. Yet you have the Texans as number 3 in your power.
Well, I don't like those things because I think long-term there's a lot of risk. But if we're talking about maximizing next year, I think when you've got a quarterback like CJ Stroud, you don't have to play to maximize just a 1-year window. Right, if I'm the 49ers, I'm thinking that way about Brock Purdy, but they don't have to. But that's what they've done. What that means is I think they're going to be really good next year. And the AFC, most of the contenders around them have gotten weaker, not stronger. So that certainly works. The Texans are on a different trajectory than teams like the Bills, than teams like the Ravens. Number 2, I don't think anybody's top 2 is going to be different. Number 2, you got the 49ers. There are just too many good players on that team. Mm-hmm. But at number 1, you've got the one player who really matters, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yeah. I like that top of your power ranking right there. Let's see here. So I was jotting it down. I'm sorry, I was writing down. We didn't see our power rankings beforehand to kind of keep that surprise element in there. So you had Browns at 10, Cowboys at 9, Bengals at 8, Ravens 7, Bills at 6. That's your top half. And then, or bottom half. Then you have the Packers, Lions, Texans, Niners, and Chiefs. That's not a bad list, Ziggy. It's funny, the Packers fans are going to come at you here and say this is just another element to the potential Ziggy as a closeted Packers fan.
What am I supposed? They should have won the NFC last year. What am I supposed to say?
A lot of people too. I'm looking at power rankings right now, and someone mentioned it in the mailbag. He said, like, what are some of the surprise takes you've seen in power rankings? Because everyone's releasing them post-draft. Not necessarily surprised that the Packers are in the top 5, but maybe just the consistency, or at least for some people, but the consistency of Packers in that top 5 spot is a little surprising to me. And here comes Jack down the stairs into the show. Jack, a welcome seat for you right here. I feel like I'm, like Jimmy Fallon or someone introducing someone on a late night show. Jack, you see yourself on the screen right here. Make yourself nice and comfortable. We've done this before. Here's the microphone.
I struggle with these headphones a lot of the times, so just be patient.
So, all right.
Keep talking, Paul.
Where are we right now? We were saying,
I'll get this eventually.
Ziggy, you had some not surprise teams, but some surprises I've seen in top 10 lists right now. The Dallas Cowboys, you had them at number 9 in your power rankings. A lot of people have Dallas in 15, 16 spot. And for a team that, they were just the 2 seed, I understand it ended poorly against Green Bay. But for a team that was just the 2, I understand being fringe top 10 around that area. But to be in the 15 or 16 average team in the league, that just seems a little bit egregious.
That's saying you think they're going to barely make the playoffs. This team's probably winning their division. They're probably going to be a top 2 seed. Like, again, do I think this team's going to win a Super Bowl? No. But if you're asking, are they going to be one of the 9 or 8 best teams in the NFL? Surely.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And then Cleveland at 10 was the only other one. I think that most people are going to have a similar top 5 to 6 teams. Now, you actually have a team off your list that I have very high. Actually, we have a couple differences, but I think that most people are generally going to have similar teams in that top 6, 7. The Browns, though, towards the bottom, 9, 10, that's where you could really get crazy. I like you putting Cleveland there because you were high on them, I believe, last season, right?
Yeah, and it didn't work out exactly how I thought. I mean, they made the playoffs.
And that defense was so good. If Watson comes back, so many people talked about, remember the Ravens game when arguably his best second half or best half of football with Cleveland?
Against one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Against a great defense, yeah. So, all right, Ziggy, there you go. There's your top 10. Now, Jack, you just got here? You have your list on hand. What are you thinking? Top 10. Can you go 10 to 1?
Yeah, so it starts a bit late. It's been a long day, but this is my priority. So I was booking it to get here.
Ziggy facial expressions.
To the strip club. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, so I have my list right here. I got the Texans at number 10.
Ziggy's number 3 team, number 10. So we're gonna have. Who knows where this list is going to go?
I think they're drastically overrated.
He's probably right.
Yeah, no, I think the Texans are one of those teams where people are either going to be up in their top 5 or they're probably going to be 10. Like, there's not really.
I got the Dolphins at 9.
Okay.
8's the Cowboys. 7 is the Eagles. 6 is the Bengals. 4 is the Lions.
Wait, what about 5?
Oh, I just got 5. Sorry. 5's the Lions. Sorry, 5's the Lions.
Uh-oh.
4 is the Steelers. 3 is the Ravens. 2 is the Chiefs. And 1 is the Niners.
1 is the 4.
So the Packers aren't in your top 10.
The Packers are 11.
Jack just made.
No, I'm kidding. Green Bay is 4 instead of the Steelers.
Okay. So
Okay. There we go. Thank you.
So the Dolphins,
the Steelers are 11.
So you have the Dolphins in there. They're a team. Producer Zach will be appreciative of that. They're another team like the Cowboys where I think that they're getting a little too much hate coming into this year. Yes, they have lost a couple key pieces, but the core of their offense is all coming back. The defense, I know they lost Wilkins to Vegas, and Xavier Howard was falling off, but there's still Jalen Ramsey. They still have Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb who are coming back from significant injuries, but there's still a lot of star power on Miami.
But we're also talking about I put them at number 9. I'm not saying they're the best team in the NFL. Like, to be a top 10 team, you got to be in the top third of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
The Dolphins, a playoff team last year, arguably still the best weapons in all of football, tough offense to stop. This is a top 10 team in the NFL.
They're close there for me.
But last season, we were talking about them as, for a while, as potentially being the top seed in the AFC.
Yeah, but then they were a wild card. That's the thing about the Dolphins where I want to put them in.
But for me, that was just more of the Bills turning up on fire at the end of that season.
But it's the same story with Miami every single time. Every time they play one of these top teams, it's the same story. When they play Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, that's where I wanted to put them
Dallas.
They beat Dallas, but I mean, the Cowboys are one of the only other teams in the league that has this reputation for choking. I think that Miami, I really want to put them in the top 10. But I can't get over the fact that they never win big games, and it's unfortunate because I think the team's really good, but I think it's fine to have them at 9. I think 9's a fine spot.
But to get murdered on the road in the playoffs like Kansas City, it's no big deal.
No, but
but then you lose Robert Hunt, you lose Christian Wilkins. Like, they've lost some important. I get they haven't lost Tyreek Hill, but they've lost some important players.
Well, what do the Dolphins do? The Dolphins have murdered teams who they're better than. That goes to show right there they're better than 2/3 of the NFL.
Oh, I think it's a fine spot.
But they're a top 10 team in the league.
I have them a little bit outside. So we'll go over to my list now here. Right on the outside, I had in that 11 to 13, the Dolphins, the Rams, and the Cowboys. The Cowboys are just outside of my top 10 here. So this is the one pick that I'm uncomfortable with, but I threw them in there because I think there's a chance they're really good. I have the Jets actually at number 10. And this, to me, a big-time boom or bust team. I think when you have aging stars coming together with younger stars, so you have guys like Tyron Smith and Aaron Rodgers, where, is there a little bit left in the tank? That you can have special seasons when those guys find a little bit of extra magic. And I'm inclined to think that the Jets actually just might be able to get it out of them. I'm not going to bet against Aaron Rodgers. It's a swing. This is a swing. I don't know if they might suck. I think they're either going to suck or be great. And I'm willing to bet on Aaron for one more year. And this is a team that I think as they win games, it feels like, can't you see Sauce Gardner and what else? Garrett Wilson, these guys, can't you see them growing with confidence with wins and getting better as the year goes on?
It also, to bring up my point earlier on the Dolphins, is having the Jets at 10 is totally fine.
I think 10 is the spot. You have Dolphins at 9. Ziggy is the Browns at 10. I had the Jets at 10.
Like, it's not like you're putting him at number 2 or number 3. Like, the Jets could, with Aaron Rodgers and the roster as a whole, could very well be a top 10 team in the NFL.
So Jets,
I have no problem. Yeah.
The Bills I have at number 9. I know they're losing a lot of pieces, but when you have a guy like Josh Allen, he can overcome so much. He can kind of just be great for basically whoever you throw out there. A little bit of hesitancy with them. I think there's work to do, but I do believe that Burrow, Allen, Mahomes are the guys you can never count out. 8, I have the Texans. Last year, think about it, we came into last season just making fun of Houston. We said we know no one on this team.
They were 31 miles.
People were just making fun of them. No one knew anybody. And then you saw Tank Dell, Nico Collins have these breakout seasons, CJ Stroud. Well, this offseason, they go and bring in superstars. Now they have stars. Stefon Diggs, Danielle Hunter joined, Joe Mixon.
We're not calling Joe Mixon a superstar.
Joe Mixon's a star. I'm sorry. He's not a superstar.
We're not calling him a star.
Running backs don't matter.
Joe Mixon's a bum.
Running backs don't matter. Running backs don't matter.
So he comes in. I think it could be a special year in Houston. I'm going to wait to put them up there in that top 3 like you, Ziggy. Similarly, the Packers I have at 7 here. So again, so many people putting them at 5. And I do think that there's reason for that. They could easily end up as a top 5 team by week 2 or 3 here, depending on the start. The offense should be great. There's no reason I think Jordan Love actually might not be better than he was last year, I believe it or not, following the second half surge. But I'm waiting to see Jeff Hafley take that defense to another level. I need to see it first until I put them in the top 5. But the Texans and the Packers are probably the 2 teams with the most potential next year to vault up into that top 5. The Bengals I have at 6. And again, Joe Burrow is one of those 3 dudes. I'm never going to underestimate him when he's healthy. Remember, when he was playing last year, they beat San Francisco on the road and were a Super Bowl contender, like a very high Super Bowl contender for a lot of people before he injured, was it his left wrist, I think it was. So they got to figure some things out with T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson, but I'm never going to count out Joe Burrow either. 5, this is the one, Ziggy, completely off your list. Jack, you had him, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I know they finished the year, 1-6, I think it was, lost 6 of their last 7 games, but there's just too much talent on the offensive side. They bring in Saquon Barkley. He'll be a beast. 2 of the top 5 corners in the draft. Philly, to me, is going to rebound. They're like, I'm afraid of what they can become this year. I'd love to see them suck again, though. For the Ravens, can't ignore what they lost. A lot of coaches gone on the defensive side of the ball, a couple free agents gone, but they brought back the guys that counted. They bring back oh my gosh, I can never say it. Matabuke. Did you say Buke or BK?
Matabuke.
I think it's Buke.
I think it's Buke. So they bring back
a bouquet of flowers.
Yeah, like a bouquet of flowers. They bring back Matabuke. And Derrick Henry joins the team. Lamar's playing in the prime of his career. I have Baltimore at 4. Lions at 3 for our friend Alex and Tom Monroe. This is a team that probably should have gone to the Super Bowl, and they got even better this offseason. They fixed the secondary, fixed the D-line. I have high expectations for Detroit. 2, San Francisco, a little older, but let's not kid ourselves. This team's loaded. And of course, number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs. We've said it so many times. Until someone beats them, you can't move them off that top spot. And they seem to have improved as well this offseason. So
to me, in last year's Super Bowl, the Niners beat them. Like, the Niners beat them to me.
What the hell is that? What does that mean?
Yeah, the Niners just looked like the better team. So I'm going to say they're the better team.
Well, no. I have no problem with. I have no problem. Actually, no, I kind of do have a problem with it. Like the Chiefs are back-to-back world champions. They did just beat the 49ers, and they have gotten better.
Yeah, the Niners should have beat them.
They probably should have, but they don't have Patrick Mahomes.
Chiefs don't have Brock Purdy.
Yeah, that's why it's the Super.
Correct. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is number 1 on the power rankings until proven otherwise.
No, but you're watching that game. I mean, you're telling me San Fran wasn't better than Kansas City.
Yeah,
but they were.
I mean, what was the final score?
29-22.
No, but the Chiefs won. I understand why people would say San Francisco is a better team than Kansas City. It's just, and maybe they beat them, 6 out of 10 times or something like that. They played a regular season, but it seems whenever it matters, Patrick Mahomes will win the game, and that's why I can't move them down until I see otherwise. I mean, they just went on the road and beat Buffalo, Baltimore, and then in the Super Bowl against San Francisco.
So two frauds and
down year.
2 frauds and luck. That's what I heard out of that sentence.
Where
are the Steelers on your list?
The Steelers, they're low.
They're 11 for me.
I'd probably have them in that like 15 to 18 range if I had to put them somewhere. I mean, I don't even have the Browns. I didn't even mention the Browns. I think they're really good. I'd probably put the Browns in that like 14 spot or 13.
Yeah.
A lot of good teams.
I think I have the Steelers at 20.
What? Ziggy, now I was getting compliment on that nice.
No, you're right. You're right. Because the Falcons and the Chargers improved a lot. 22, 23, somewhere around there.
And I was going to give you a compliment on that black shirt that you're wearing, but not anymore.
So
it's hideous.
Let us know in the comment section whose list you like best, and please drop your rankings. Drop your top 10 at this point in the season. Could be top 5. We'll weigh in on it. If we see a list, we'll give a little reaction to it. And it's funny because we all have access to be able to comment. So we'll let you know who leaves what comment or response to your top 10 list. So we'll move on now from the top 10. Actually, no, wait, real quick. I do want to ask you, Ziggy, do you think the Chargers belong anywhere near that 10th spot? Because I saw my boss, Colin Coward, left his, I think he had them at like 8 or something like that.
When you've got a top 5 quarterback, you can put them in the top 10.
Okay.
They've got a new coach. I mean, they lost some important players, right? But a lot of those guys were older and often injured anyway. Again, it's a big projection. But the question is, do you want to project? Because there aren't 10 rock solid teams in the top 10. The question is, do you want to project some of these young teams or teams of injured quarterbacks to get better? Or do you want to project a team that you know has that guy at QB to get better when you've got a new coach, some new skill position players, some new defense?
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, quarterback is everything. I mean,
it's not a ridiculous thing. It's not where I have them. But would I be surprised if the Chargers finished the season in the top 5 of my power rankings? No.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on now. We did the top 10, the most improved team from this offseason. And we'll go to you first, Ziggy. You had a team that you've been hyping up a lot this year.
Say no.
We'll see how much we wind up talking about them during the season. But I thought they came on well once a certain player returned. Go ahead. Who is the most improved offseason team for Robert Ziggy Ziegler?
I mean, for me, I think the answer is pretty clear here. It's the team that had the most picks in the top 90, the most picks in the top 100. I mean, I don't think there's any choice here but the Arizona Cardinals. Now, look, right? The Cardinals were rough last year, right? There's no question about it. They didn't have any real weapons. They struggled on defense. When Kyler Murray was out, they struggled on offense. When he came back, there were still some struggles. But this team had so many picks, and they've added so much talent to a team that I think when their quarterback's healthy isn't all that bad.
I don't think
look, Marvin Harrison Jr., that guy's a stud. It is very likely, I think, that he is going to be good. You've got Darius Robinson, Max Melton, Isaiah Adams, Tip Reeman out of Illinois. I know a lot of people haven't watched him, but this team added so much physicality, both on offense and on defense.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, man, of course you haven't, right? Nobody watched Illinois football except me because my buddy's a UIUC grad. So
Tip Reeman?
Tip, yeah.
All right.
I do know what Urbana-Champaign is, though. I do know what Urbana-Champaign is. So UIUC, I understand.
But Paul, you watched some Rutgers football, right?
I mean, a little bit.
You remember Max Melton?
I didn't.
Lockdown corner, Rutgers. 8 interceptions over his career. Like this team they added so much physicality and so much talent at every position where they had problems. Now look,
is it going to be the problems too? It was hard to get.
Yeah,
especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Is it going to be the smoothest transition? No. But when you're adding a bunch of players to your secondary, you're adding a guy on your defensive line, you're adding maybe the best wide receiver since Jamar Chase to enter the NFL draft. There's just so much to be excited about here. And the floor is so low that I'm projecting this team to make the playoffs next year. I think Kyler Murray's that guy, and they're going to be really good. But it's tough not to look at this team and just see how much better they might be able to be.
I also think maybe it's an unfair addition, or it's unfair to say that having Kyler Murray is I'm just gonna say I think having a healthy Kyler Murray can be included in the Cardinals offseason, because last year they came in and who was playing? Who was their quarterback last year at the start of the season?
Was it like Rypien?
Right. I can't even remember. So exactly, that's where we were. Having a full off season where Kyler is playing football, he's talking with Gannon. I think that's huge for Arizona, because you saw him as the season went on. I know Philadelphia was falling apart, but they went into Philly and won that game. Still a tough place to play. When he's healthy, he can be one of those top 10 quarterbacks in the league. And I mean, there's a reason they gave him that contract. So I don't mind that pick at all, Ziggy. To the playoffs is a little aggressive, but yeah, like we sat here a year ago, 2 years ago, and they were 9-2 or something like that. It was, I mean, they were the 1 seed for a while until he got hurt. So I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking most improved teams, I mean, forget the playoff comment aside, like, which I mean, I don't think it's crazy, but most improved teams, like, this team's bound to improve.
Yeah,
I'd be floored if they don't.
Who do you have, Jack, as your most improved?
So a very similar team to the Cardinals in my eyes, a team who had a plethora of top 100 picks, just like the Cardinals. I'm going with the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels at number 2, 3 second-round picks, 2 third-round picks that should be able to pay off relatively quick.
New coach, new offensive coordinator.
New coach, new OC. They got they got Luke McCaffrey also. Well, like that last name. And again, like, I don't expect much from them, but if Jaden Daniels can hit, and there's a chance that he busts, but if he hits, this team could linger outside the playoffs as well.
In the NFC, it's just such a weak conference that the 7th spot is so up for grabs.
That's the thing. Like, if Jaden Daniels is a hit, and like they can grab the 7 seed, and again, we're talking improved. Like, this team stunk. We're talking improved. In my eyes, this is the most improved team going into 2024.
I'm really excited to see. I mean, this is another UIUC guy, right? I love this team, but I'm really excited to see what Jerzon Newton's going to be able to do.
He's at tackle, right? The defensive tackle.
Yeah, he's one of those small. He's like 6'2", 300 pounds. He's a tackle that can get after the quarterback. You know, he's really athletic. He was incredibly productive. And as we've seen in the NFL, if you want one of those elite interior defensive tackles, you have to take them in the top 50. There's only one in the top 16 salaries at the position that was not taken in the top 50 of the NFL draft. So if you want those guys, you have to take them early. And if they hit, it's the most impactful position you can get on defense. So if he's good, and I think there's a good chance he will be, he could be excellent for the Commanders, who really, I mean, their defensive line took some hits with all the trades they made last year. They could use some more force up front.
Still got a few studs there, but yeah, they can use some help.
And he's one of 3 second-round picks that they acquired.
Yeah, I mean, they loaded draft. I think the Commanders, when I think about Washington throughout my entire life, you know, they've had some really bad years, but how many fan bases are as desperate as they are for a great season? Like, in our lifetime, I can't think of one year where the Commanders were like one of the teams. You know what I mean?
I mean, like, their best year recently was when they had RG3 and hosted a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, and
lost,
tore
right?
his ACL.
They lost the Packers.
Yeah, I think it's Seattle. Seattle,
Seattle.
I mean, this team's won the division 3 times since 2000.
Hands away.
No, but yeah. You see RG3, the RG3 year, and like, how many teams, you know, even the Vikings, we've had a couple of years, we go to the NFC Championship game and we think we can win the Super Bowl. I mean, you know, even the Browns went to the divisional round and believed for a second with Baker. Like, there's just never really, and that's kind of a stretch.
There was no belief there.
They weren't really. But again, the Commanders are one of those teams where they've had really nothing to cheer for. No hope. I mean, they went with Taylor Heineke. They went with Kirk, was good for a few years, but this team needs to hit, because that would suck. Like, I mean, Detroit went to the NFC Championship.
They also went through a name change too. Like, that's just terrible.
They need to be one of the most improved for their own sake.
I mean, if Daniels isn't good, they will go 20 years without winning a playoff.
I mean, if he busts, they're terrible.
Oh yeah, no, they're relying on him. So I'm going to take it in a different direction. I think that most of us would agree the Chicago Bears are a team. Ziggy, would they have been your most improved?
They're certainly up there. I mean, I shared that thing with you. Every single player on offense who left, they replaced with someone who's strictly better.
Yeah, so the Bears, to me, would be the team that I would pick personally as the most improved this year. But we've talked a lot about Chicago this offseason already, and we just didn't want to hammer home the same exact points that we've been talking about. So I'm taking a little bit of a different approach here. You guys picked 2 teams that absolutely sucked and should be better, potentially, you know, in a dream season, you're competing for a wild card. I'm taking the Houston Texans, who, as I said, you know, maybe there's not a more hyped up team outside of Green Bay this year, because Green Bay or Houston as the most anticipated team heading into 2024. CJ Stroud is on this media tour. He sounds confident. He sounds like a future star in the NFL, like a potential face of the NFL. We talked about the players. They swapped out some guys on defense this offseason, but I don't think, and Ziggy, you're not going to give it credit. You haven't, I don't think you gave it the fair credit. Swapping Grenard for Danielle Hunter with the Vikings, I believe, is actually a huge upgrade. Danielle Hunter had 16 and a half sacks last year. Dude's an absolute monster. We've watched him for so many years. There was no one on that Viking defensive line with him. To now pair him and Will Anderson Jr., I think that's going to be an absolute nightmare for AFC quarterbacks, because you can't double both of them, and those two guys are absolute studs. I love that. The other thing was, as great as the offense was, they started and ended the year in Baltimore with two pretty lopsided losses, two pretty embarrassing offensive performances. 9 week 1, put up 10 points in the divisional round. The Ravens have a great defense. There needs to be a little bit more than just Tank Dell and Nico Collins. You bring in an alpha like Stefon Diggs, and you guys are slandering Joe Mixon, but dude still had over 1,000 yards last season. He's an upgrade from their 22nd ranked rushing attack. Okay, I'd rather have Joe Mixon than the slew of running backs they had last season. I look at Houston and I say this team they swung for the fences, and it could come crashing down hard. But there's so much talent that I think the Texans are. I had them at 8 in my power rankings. Like to think that they'd be 8 in the power rankings after last year, after a year ago, it's crazy. So I have Houston as my most improved.
I don't like Diggs on this team that much.
I don't understand why people have that opinion, and
because he was terrible after week 6. That's why.
Well, he was bad. Yeah, he was bad. I mean, he's just a dude who demands the ball. This team has good mojo with these young kids.
Yeah, you're in the Diggs honeymoon phase, though. The Diggs honeymoon phase is a great time to have him on your team.
But this is with 2 teams now. He's become a little diva.
So I'm not worried about the diva stuff, really. I'm worried about the fact that Stefon Diggs, for more than half of last year, was not a good wide receiver.
Didn't the usage go completely down as well?
Even when the usage was high, there was, again, since week 6, people say, look at the coordinator. Look at the splits before week 6 and after week 6. The dude was terrible.
I think when CJ Stroud throws incomplete balls to Nico Collins and Tank Dell, Diggs will be on the sideline in his ear yelling at him. I hate that. So I think this chemistry and mojo they had last year should continue without Stefon Diggs.
Stefon Diggs, he can become a diva, but he's not a locker room cancer.
I think he messes things up. I think he messes up the mojo.
He's been to since he was with the Vikings. He went to the NFC Championship game. He went to the divisional round. His teams are in the playoffs every single year.
And then how many yards is he getting?
He also was terrible the last 10 games last year.
I understand that he performed poorly down the stretch, and he is on the wrong side of 30.
31.
He's 30 years old. He's on the wrong side of 30, but I'm not. I think there's more juice to Stefon Diggs.
He demands targets.
I guarantee you guys, Stefon Diggs goes over 1,000 yards.
I think he's just swiping. I think he's swiping targets from up and coming superstars.
It would have been nice to see him go. If he's going to go over 1,000 yards, it would have been nice to see him go over 100 yards once after.
I understand that he played poorly down the stretch, like I do, but Buffalo started leaning into the run game at the end of last season. I understand that he didn't play well, but if you ask me, do you want Stefon Diggs or not on your team? I'm going to say yes. Yeah.
I'm just saying, week 12, week 12, week 13, right? 2 back-to-back weeks of a bye in the middle. He got 22 targets. He put up less than 100 yards across both weeks combined.
What were his stats in those games?
It was 6 receptions, 74 yards, and a touchdown. And then 4 receptions, 24 yards, 0 touchdowns.
All right, that's a bad game. But I'm not at 74 yards and a touchdown is a fine game.
Yeah, he's a mojo messer.
I'm just saying, you're saying it's usage. The man got 22 targets and couldn't put up 100 yards.
On 90% of NFL teams, I'd say, yeah, when Stefon Diggs, not the Texans.
All right. Well, let us know in the comment section what you think. Would you want Stefon Diggs on your team? I can't.
Well, I'm saying 90% of teams would.
If I'm Antonio Brown.
If I'm the Texans, I would not.
Antonio Brown comes in and he is a massive distraction. Stefon Diggs is best friends with Josh Allen.
If my Steelers right now were in the Texans situation with CJ Stroud and these young stud receivers,
thrilled.
I would not want Stefon Diggs.
Jeez. All right. So
I want AB back.
when Noah Brown or Nico Collins are tanked out, all of whom have had injury concerns, when one of them goes down, and you have no third option on that offense. I mean, you have Dalton Schultz at tight end, but
they won't have a third option with Stefon Diggs.
He'll be complaining in Stroud's ear, and Stroud's like,
let us know in the comment section. What do you want, Stefon? I think you guys are just doing this to mess with me.
no, he's gonna make Stroud anxious, uncomfortable.
We'll go on to our mailbag here. We got some questions, and remember, if you become a member, you could go to our homepage on the channel, click join. You can become a member. Any comment you leave, it's not technically a rule, but I guess we made it a rule that we'll read anything you write, barring anything ridiculous.
You'll get a question answered. If you leave 20 questions, we might not answer all of them. You'll get a question answered.
So you can go and join for $5, $4.99 a month, I believe it is, on the homepage. And we appreciate everyone there have been a lot of members. Zach's been pushing for it because he really wants to quit his 3 a.m. wake up job. I think it's like 2:30.
He's asleep right now.
So, all right, let's start at the mailbag here from one of our members. Yeah, here it is. From Butt Pounder 420, he says, make the case for and against Eli Manning getting into the Hall of Fame. It's pretty easy to me to make the case, to make either case. But in terms of for, and I do think Eli Manning should be a Hall of Famer, we are talking about someone who's number 10 all-time in passing yards, number 10 all-time in passing touchdowns, started 222 straight games. It's two-time Super Bowl champion and MVP, beat the greatest team potentially ever. Those are the accolades for Eli Manning. I know we're in an era where we throw the ball more, and that's why you have, Matt Ryan is in your top 10. Kirk Cousins could end up in top 10 of these stats. But Eli Manning was a good quarterback for a long time. I don't think there was many stretches where you feared Eli. There were a few, but there's 2 Super Bowls. If you take away the Super Bowls, you're probably not talking about a Hall of Famer, but with them, I think he gets in.
I legitimately can't think of a reason not to put him in the Hall of Fame.
Well, it's because he's made the playoffs 6 times in his career and was a 4-time Pro Bowler and never made.
He was a 500 quarterback.
Yeah, never made an All-Pro.
Yeah, but he beat the best ever twice in 2 Super Bowls.
Oh no! Again, that's why I would put him in.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is the thing. Like, it's like the SEC. It just means, like, I get it. People want to say over his career, was he that good? Was he ever the best quarterback in the NFL? No. But 2 runs with 2 of the most iconic plays in NFL history. I mean, you could argue the helmet catch is the most iconic play in NFL history.
That's
right him in a huge moment in
the
Super. Like, it's up there. No one can say it's not in terms of impact, in terms of moments. And when you've got a guy who's doing that, and he's a Manning, the last name doesn't hurt.
Manning name means something.
I probably, if I were building a Hall of Fame, I'm not sure I'd put him in. But, it's the Hall of Fame. It's not the Hall of how good you are as a player. And Eli Manning deserves the fame.
Fame-wise, yes, he is. That's a good point.
Also, look at that path in that one Super Bowl he went on to. Like, he won at Green Bay.
I mean, both of them. They went on the road the whole way.
Yeah.
Those were 2 all-time runs.
All-time runs, yeah. And he was sensational. He didn't get carried on those runs. Eli Manning was amazing. I mean, think about the second Patriots win, the throw to Manningham. As great as the Tyree play was, a lot of luck involved there. And Tyree, insane catch. The Manningham throw and catch was, one of the best you'll see, especially given the moment. Now, guys like Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, take away Super Bowls, probably better careers than Eli, but
you see, honestly, I think Rivers is probably a better quarterback than Eli.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Rivers,
but no, it's not close. Rivers was a much better quarterback.
But it doesn't matter. Rivers, but yeah, Eli won.
Super Bowls matter. All right, the next
they matter the most.
Comes from and I appreciate you helping me out with the pronunciation. We know that I can't speak English sometimes.
I can't believe he went butt pounder, not ass pounder.
from Jack, come on, man.
From Nisha Salis here. Nisha Salis. He says, I hope I got that right. What are some ways Atlanta can pivot from their draft blunders to have success moving forward next season? Here's the thing with Atlanta. I know that everyone's mad about the Michael Penix pick. We talked a lot about it. You can look at the video where we all break it down whether or not we liked it or not. And we actually didn't mind it. But after that, they did go after D-line a lot. And that was a huge need of this team. You have to hope a couple of those guys can come into play. Their front 7 needs help. They need edge rushing help. That's why you wanted someone like a Dallas Turner or Latu, perhaps. But the way that you move forward from here, I mean, look, you can't just sit back and go, oh, we blew it with Penix. This is still the best team in the NFC South. What you need to do is have your lines operate. Get your D-line to a spot where it can be suitable, and hopefully, again, those rookies pan out. You have to protect Kirk Cousins. You expect the Falcons' offensive line to do that. If Kirk gets pressure, we've seen it for years, falls apart. I mean, completely falls apart. Look at the Eagles-Vikings games, most of them, until really last year. When you get after Kirk Cousins, he can't move, and especially now off a ruptured Achilles. So I would just say make sure those trenches are okay. And there's a lot of talent on this Atlanta team and other places.
Your mainly is the offensive line. I mean, Kirk Cousins has a decent plethora of weapons in Atlanta. No one can deny that. With time, he's a good quarterback. The thing is, he's not mobile.
With time, I think he's a top 10 quarterback. I think if you protect Kirk, he's one of the best pure throwers of the football.
I would agree. But
they also, I think the Falcons' offensive line is decent. They've got 5 starters.
Oh, they should be. Yeah, they should be good.
If it's me, I'm looking at the defense that really underperformed, because you saw Kirk Cousins can win you shootouts, but you can't win Super Bowls by playing shootouts. So the Falcons really want to take that next step forward, especially with Penix eventually, hopefully coming in and being good. Safety, they've got one guy who can play safety. Cornerback, they've got one player who can play cornerback. Edge rusher, they had 10 sacks last year among the players that were there and stuck around. They need the defense to improve.
That's how you look at the Penix pick and you just go, what the hell are they doing? But yeah, defense needs to improve, protect Kirk. And look, the Falcons are still probably going to win the NFC South, but we'll see. All right. Craig Sheeran 602 says, after the NFL draft, how would you rate each division from easy to difficult, as in more good teams, the more difficult? So I have a little 8-1 here. Let me know if you guys have any problems with this. At 8, I have the NFC South with the Falcons and all the, Panthers, Bucks, etc. 7, the AFC West. The Chiefs are great, but after that, some questions with the Chargers. I don't think the Broncos or Raiders are all that good. Actually, they're ahead of. 6 is the NFC East. I think the Eagles and Cowboys will have good years. The Commanders and Giants, probably going to be bad. You could maybe flip-flop those. 5, I have the AFC South with Houston, Jacksonville. The Colts could be good with Anthony Richardson. Tennessee, I'm not too high on, but they're good to steal one every once in a while. 4, I have the NFC West. I do think that the Rams and 49ers are going to be 2 of the better teams in the league. Cardinals should improve, as Ziggy said. And the Seahawks I'm not too impressed with, but they're always somewhat competitive. 3, the AFC East. Who knows what you're going to get from the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins. Those could all be top 10 teams by the end of the year. New England, we know no. 2, the NFC North. Again, maybe a little bit of bias here because the Vikings are probably not going to be that good, but Packers and Lions could end the year as 2 top 5 teams. Bears should be very improved. And 1, your AFC North, which is just loaded from top to bottom.
Well, that's just carried by the Steelers mainly.
Yeah,
you take them out of the AFC North, it's probably not number 1.
And any big issue with that? Would you guys agree? AFC North number 1?
I think the NFC East is better than the AFC South. I think I'll probably just flip-flop 5 and 6.
Okay.
I mean, to me, you have two guaranteed playoff teams in the NFC East, Philly and Dallas. Jacksonville's a question mark. The Titans stink. I'm not super high on the Colts. So I'd probably just flip up that. But yeah, I think AFC North is 1, yeah.
Right. That's the correct power ranking, I think.
Thank you.
Got it, Paul.
Another member, Max Valentino. Thanks again, Max, for being a member to the show. He says, we'll go over to Ziggy on this one. This year, there are 0 head coaches that are also the GM. Do you think there will ever be another person as the coach and GM? And if so, who could potentially be the next one? Do you have a thought? I have an idea.
That's an interesting question. Who will be the next one? I have no clue. Some ownership groups are okay with this, some aren't. But there shouldn't be another one because that kind of structure is just terrible. Like ideally you want a GM who's very secure and who doesn't feel any risk, but their job of GM and head coach are just different. The head coach's job, they've got the scheme, they've got the plans to get the best out of players they do. But you saw this particularly in the later Belichick years. It's really easy as a coach to just tunnel on your kind of guys. Mm-hmm. And you see this, I think, sometimes when college coaches go to the NFL, you see the same thing. They're looking for guys that fit their scheme. This is why everything fell apart. For instance, Nick Saban of the Dolphins. But at a certain point as a coach, you have to just work with what you're given. It's really easy when you're in there working with the guys every day, seeing them improve to get personally attached. On the other hand, like the GM job is incredibly intensive. You don't want someone who was to do the head coach job, equally intensive, to have to do both of those things. So I think it's a step forward. I think it's really unlikely the GM coach thing works out. It's incredible it did in New England for so long. But if I had to pick who it was going to be next, I guess I'd pick Vrabel, because he basically had that job in Tennessee, and maybe someone will hire him to do it.
Vrabel doesn't even have a job.
I know, but like, look, he's the consultant for the Browns. He's going to step in whenever they fire a what's-his-name coach of the year, Krapansky.
Yeah, that was... look, I've always thought...
Like, whenever the Browns play the Steelers, he goes from Stefanski to Kraps's-Pansky.
Yeah. I've never been a huge Stefanski guy, personally.
The big bad Steelers.
Ziggy, what do you think of someone that I wrote down, and I don't expect this to happen, but if we have to pick someone, I could see a world where Sean Payton could assume complete control in Denver.
I mean, it's basically what's happened. I think he's never going to have the title because he wants someone to blame.
Yeah, that's probably true. I could see Sean Payton, though they're so heavily invested in this guy. And obviously he has the reputation that if one day, George Payton just does something that pisses everyone off, I could see Sean Payton saying, all right, I'm taking complete control of this situation, which again, he sort of already has.
I'm going to say Jim Harbaugh.
I don't think that's a horrible one. It's gonna be one of the older, more respected coaches. And I don't think any of us expect that to happen anytime soon. But
yeah, I'm gonna say I don't think it should. I think the GM gets the hand and the coaches bring the best out of the hand they're dealt.
Let's see.
They're both such hard jobs.
Yeah,
man.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to be both. From Tony RPH 480, he says, "Paul Farrington show. Please rank the pressure to succeed on the head coaches in the NFC North highest to lowest." His order went number 1, Chicago, with Matt Eberflus. Number 2, he had Dan Campbell in Detroit. 3, Matt LaFleur, and 4, Kevin O'Connell. Ziggy, as a fellow NFC North fan, do you agree with that ranking?
Not quite. I'll say I think number 1 is actually LaFleur. If we're talking, I'm assuming we're not talking job security here. We're talking like pressure to succeed.
Yeah, pressure.
The Packers feel like their time is now.
Well, wait. Would you say? I guess pressure to succeed is different from job.
It's a little different. Job security is one of them. But if you're LaFleur right now, the coach of the Packers, you're saying we've got to build on next year and we have to be better than last year, right? Because if they have the same results, a lot of the fans are going to be upset. Mm-hmm. So while LaFleur, I think the team is better and his job is secure, he's got to improve on what was already a pretty good year. People are going to be disappointed. Then meanwhile, I think that Getsy, I think that the Eberflus and Getsky with the Bears are at number 2, just because, again, their jobs are in danger. But if you look at how much they actually need to improve, it's not nearly as much. It's not nearly as hard, and they've got a lot more coming in to do it. Then I got Campbell at 3 and O'Connell at 4.
Yeah, I actually kind of like it. Is different when you think about it. The question being pressure to succeed. I probably go LaFleur, Campbell, Eberflus, O'Connell. But if it's job security, I actually do think Eberflus is closest to being canned. Like they start off really poorly.
Especially now too, because there's expectations for the Bears.
And it's weird because normally you do buy yourself some extra time. But I don't like Eberflus is a weird case where I actually don't think he bought himself that much more time with Caleb Williams. If he's not good, they're going to try and find a new dude. That I would say is Eberflus. Then none of the other 3 guys are getting fired anytime soon.
On your pressure to succeed, I would go with Green Bay, LaFleur at 1 for sure. Then I'd go with Dan Campbell and the Lions.
They have expectations.
Had the year they had, and now why not? Let's do it again. 3 is the Bears, Eberflus, and 4 is O'Connell.
Think about in Green Bay if they have, given the way they finished last year, how deflating it would be if they came out and
crap the bed.
Yeah. Now I don't think
if they don't win a playoff game this year.
I mean, they don't. Let's say they don't go to the playoffs potentially. That is just a. And there's a world where it happens again. I do think Jordan Love has crossed the barrier to actually being borderline star here.
But Jordan Love's going to sign a deal probably this offseason where he's getting paid $50 million plus.
Yeah, no.
That really limits your window of the cheap Jordan Love. And if you waste one of those years, this is prime Super Bowl winning chance for the Packers. Mm-hmm. And if they can't do it this year or next year, it gets so much harder.
And it's the same deal with the Lions.
Yeah.
They feel like that they have to win also.
From Jeremy, JB 4345. He says, you discussed the new NFC North quarterbacks, Caleb Williams and JJ McCarthy. Real quick, though, what about Packers quarterback Michael Pratt? So the Tulane quarterback, he said he had a big bowl victory over USC and Caleb Williams. He said, how? Shouldn't USC have had better players and coaches than Tulane? I thought USC was sitting a lot of people for that game.
Caleb Williams stinks.
Yeah, I thought USC sat a lot of people. I could be forgetting that. He says this just foreshadowing. Did Papa Bear talk smack about the Holy Mother or something? I didn't watch a lot of Michael Pratt, but Tulane. Think about Tulane as a program. Here's where they were. 2018, 19, 20, 21. They had, or what was this? Yeah, 21. They had 7, 7, 6, and 2 wins. Finally, Michael Pratt, I guess he came out of his shell, and then they won 12 and 2, 11 and 3. So clearly, when you're in a program like Tulane and you have them ranked and playing in these huge games, you are a very good quarterback. I don't know too much about him, but I do remember a lot of last season or the past couple of years hearing like, oh, this Tulane kid is good. 2,400 yards, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions last year, 3,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, 5 picks the year before. Like he could be someone that comes in and could serve as a backup.
Yeah, I mean, you do go back to that bowl game against USC. What we thought it was high scoring. USC played no defense, but they scored a lot of points. And every time Tulane had to answer it, Michael Pratt did.
I mean, the numbers like 27 touchdowns with 5 interceptions.
What they scored in that game? They scored like 40 something points. Did they?
Yeah, but
on
USC defense,
yeah, but still. But that was Michael Pratt throughout most of his college career. Like he was awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean you worry about the injuries, but if you look what you're getting in the 7th round is a guy who's big enough, athletic enough, and strong enough, and smart enough. Like you throw enoughs in there, and the guy could be a good or even great backup with potential to be like a very low level Jacoby Brissett like starter.
Let's see, from Dan Stoyer, he says, "Hey guys, great content as usual. I think Jerry Jones is confused by what all in means. If you own the Cowboys, what would it look like if you went all in to try and win the Super Bowl this upcoming season?" Well, it's probably good I'm not an NFL owner because my version of all in is really go all in, probably make some mistakes, but we knew running back was a huge hole. They brought Zeke back. I probably would have gone after Derrick Henry. We knew that they had a couple guys on defense that were let go. I think Vander Esch retired. I'd just be swinging for the fences. I would have been going after all the stars. But that the Cowboys were kind of quiet this offseason. So many of the fans are disappointed. Especially when you look at what Philly's done over the past few months with Saquon, the corners, and the draft. I would have been taking big swings. I would have started with Henry, and then I would have tried to get some D-line help. And we knew the O-line needed to be addressed as well. They did that in the draft, but I would have taken much bigger swings in free agency personally. Probably would have failed. Probably would have come back. I mean, it's the Cowboys. Probably wouldn't have worked out.
I mean, what they should actually be focusing on is getting Dak Prescott to a long-term deal instead of whatever they're doing now. Like this is what going in all in for next season actually looks like is signing their guys to long-term deals and then seeing what's left.
Yeah.
The weird thing they're doing now, the will they, won't they? Like, why are you doing that with CeeDee Lamb? Why are you doing that with Dak Prescott? What do you think they're going to get cheaper?
Oh, really? No, I completely agree with you. Get those guys under contract, and then you're right. You have the
see what's left and go for it. The uncertainty of not knowing how much money you have over the next few years makes it impossible to do free agency.
I mean, they've been doing this for forever, and yeah, it's just. I mean, that's the reason why they haven't been to the NFC Championship game in so long. Dan Stoyer also says, will you guys host a Pick'em group during this year where we can go up against you guys and see how smart or dumb we are? I think that is something we've been talking about, and that might wind up being something for members. One of the member perks is you can enter the league, and we'll have a group Pick'em, probably a prize as well. So that is probably going to be a members.
I like that
only event. Well, we have to get perks to members. We're trying to think of ideas.
And also, I got to show that I know I'm better. I know more about football. I'm better than guys. There's so many people. There's so many people in these comments that are like, "Oh, Ziggy doesn't know football." We'll find out.
No, but I've also seen a lot of Zig knows ball too.
Zig knows ball.
You got the backups. You got your backups.
We got a couple more questions here. James Library says, and thanks, James. We know you leave a lot of comments.
You a book reader, James Library?
Yeah. Not so much a question, but I wanted to get your thoughts on my unpopular NFL opinion. I think Sean Payton is one of the most overrated coaches in the NFL. I'll concede he's a brilliant offensive mind. See, that's the thing, James. You can't say he's overrated and then say brilliant offensive mind. But anyway, brilliant offensive mind. But as a head coach, I see him closer to Mike McCarthy than I do Bill Belichick. Take into account the fact that his only Super Bowl win came out of the Bounty Gate season. And if Favre decides to run, don't bring this game up. Favre decides to run for the first down instead of throw, they probably don't even make the Super Bowl. Sorry for bringing up the painful. Thank you. Then he says, since then, ran New Orleans team to middling success. Lots of 9-7, 7-9 records. Everyone will talk about the PI in the NFC title game, which is totally legitimate, but then conveniently forget they had overtime to try and win that game. Anyway, I think you get the point. What do you guys think?
What's his name? What was the question? James Library. All right, let me answer your question, James. So I've been saying this for the longest time, and you seem to you can see why you're going to agree with me now that NFL coaches, they don't matter. Drew Brees carried Sean Payton's ass to Super Bowl. Sean Payton comes to Denver and he's terrible. So when you say Sean Payton is an overrated coach, I would agree with you. I think most coaches are. I don't think coaching matters a whole lot in the NFL. I think it's your players.
What do you think of,
so I would agree. Yeah, I think Sean Payton is an overrated coach.
What do you think of Mike Tomlin going to the playoffs every single year?
I think he has a decent team, not a great team, and he goes to the playoffs with a decent team.
I mean, in the AFC.
When Mike Tomlin had a Hall of Fame quarterback, he won the Super Bowl.
Like, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, obviously you need great players. No one is going to argue that you need great players.
Drew Brees carried Sean Payton's ass to a Super Bowl.
Hold on, let's do a little comparison here. I
mean, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick just solidified.
Jack, I want to ask you this. We got a comparison here. We're counting out last season because I don't want anything that happened with the Broncos and Russ and any of that to count. I'm going to give you two coaches. Both of them have had a Hall of Fame quarterback for most of their career.
Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. That's my.
Go. Can you let me say what I'm going to say, Jack? Yeah. So you got 62% win rate. 9-8 in the playoffs, Super Bowl win.
Okay.
62% win rate, 11-10 in the playoffs, 1 Super Bowl win. Both had Hall of Fame quarterbacks for most of their career.
Okay, I'm about to be exposed somehow by Ziggy in a big way. I mean, I guess I'd probably take the second option because he has 11 wins in the playoffs.
You just took Mike McCarthy over Sean Payton. So when we talk about Hall of Fame quarterback track record of success, Sean Payton has done as much as Mike McCarthy, and we know how everyone thinks about Mike McCarthy. So no, I'm not convinced that Sean Payton is that guy. It seems every time it's someone else's fault. And I don't think he's going to get any better in Denver. Have fun, Bo Nix. It's going to be Bo Nix's fault. Then it's going to be the GM's fault. Then it's going to be the fans' fault.
Yeah, he agrees with you.
See, you agree with me? Hell yeah. Oh, you don't see that often on this show. That's amazing.
I think Sean Payton is a great head coach. I really don't like him. I dislike Greg Williams, but look at the Saints franchise. Please go look at the Saints franchise. Look at their records. Look at their playoff appearances pre-Sean Payton. After he got there, of course, Drew Brees. I'm not going to argue. Drew Brees, I always think the quarterback is more, but who resurrected Drew Brees' career?
Who had 4 losing records out of 5 years with prime Drew Brees? From 2012 to 2016, they had 1 winning record with prime Drew Brees.
I mean, that's horrendous.
Kidding me?
How many years was Brees? How many did he play? Every single game of that season?
Yeah. He was their leading passer every single one of those years.
Look, no, there were some down years in New Orleans, but they won a Super Bowl that they shouldn't have won. Yes. Then those later Brees teams, the ones that lost on the Minneapolis Miracle, the ones that lost in the Rams games, one of them those teams had great chances, multiple NFC Championship game appearances. Like, Sean Payton's a great head coach. And then look at Denver. Look how horrible Nathaniel Hackett and that team were. Sean Payton last year had them looking like a playoff team by the end of the season. Like the Broncos were close to being a playoff team after being one of the laughing stocks of the league. Like, he's a good coach. We can't come on, guys.
No, but I also think Russ had a better season last year.
Yeah, because Sean Payton was there.
Russ needed Sean Payton to coach.
For me, there's no.
I think that was a huge difference.
For me, there's no correlation there at all.
How is there no correlation?
I think Russ had a bad season 2 years ago and was just more of himself this year. I don't think Sean Payton's a huge difference at all.
The main difference was that Sean Payton joined the team.
I don't think it was. How?
What do you mean how? He joined the team. That was the difference.
Russ is a half decent QB. I think he had a bad season.
He's horrendous with Nathaniel Hackett. People were talking about Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, I ran a Bronco show. People like I was listening.
Oh, you're in a Bronco. Oh, you're in a Bronco show.
I was listening to people who knew about the team. They said Hackett was like out of his was just.
Oh no, I mean Hackett was terrible. There's no question. Sean Payton was an upgrade. No one's denying that.
But we're not saying upgrade versus like over. Like he's overrated. Okay, it's a small upgrade, sure, but I think he's overrated.
Yeah,
but that's not. It's a different argument.
No, I'm arguing that Russ and the team was better because of Sean Payton.
You're saying Sean Payton.
Of course, he made him better.
You're saying Sean Payton is a great coach.
Yeah, he's a great coach.
Yeah, I think he's an overrated.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out.
Like, there's no. It's a different thing to say like, oh, Sean Payton's better than Nathaniel Hackett versus Sean Payton's not overrated.
I mean, no, I was just saying the biggest difference was Sean Payton, and you said no.
I
think Russ and the team was better because Sean Payton joined the team. If the Hackett was there, I think they would have sucked again.
I honestly don't agree.
But here's the thing. I also think at the end of the day, you need the player. Steve Kerr's acknowledged that before. He said if he went to the Knicks instead of the Warriors, he would have been ran out of New York, laughed off the court.
So how does Sean Payton?
I think great coaches, when combined with great players, that's when you can have dynasties, and that's when you have multiple time champions.
No, no such thing as a great coach. No such thing. Look at when Brady left the Patriots. There's no such thing.
I mean,
okay, that's silly.
Yeah, I mean, they're great. Like Andy Reid,
yeah, he has McNabb and Mahomes.
Yeah,
if you put
Alex Smith, they've won the division every single.
If Andy Reid coaches the
McNabb, like that's where you're dying. You're dying on the Donovan McNabb hill.
If Andy Reid coaches the Steelers, what's the difference?
He's a brilliant offensive mind. I mean,
you think the Steelers?
You're a Steelers fan.
You think we're sitting here at any different than 9-8?
Yeah, I of course I do.
I think that's ridiculous.
I think Andy Reid's the best coach in football.
I think that's absurd.
Go look at Andy Reid's time. And
so if you put Kevin O'Connell as the head coach of the Chiefs, they're not the favorites to win the Super Bowl anymore.
Bro,
it means nothing. Look what happens when Tom Brady leaves.
I think Kevin O'Connell's very good.
Look what happens when Brady leaves the Pats.
If you put Nathaniel Hackett on the Chiefs, I don't know. I don't know.
Yes, I do know.
This is another one. Look, we had a question. What's Jack's worst take? This is one of them. So we're answering.
No, it's not. I have proof and stats to back it up. I have history to back it up.
No, go look at Andy Reid's coaching history. There's your history.
Yeah, he has Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, but he was successful.
We're moving on from this.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sean Payton sucked with Drew Brees.
I mean, he didn't suck. He went. All right. Here we go.
He's overrated as hell. So are most coaches.
Let us know in the comments section what you think.
And it's not Sean Payton making Russ better. It's Russ having a better season.
We're moving on from this.
Wait, no. I'm sorry. One more time here. Russ having a better season because of Russ.
How did Sean Payton stink with Drew Brees for 4 straight years, under 500? Then he's Russell Wilson here, makes him great.
I just want to know.
Russ had a terrible season under a very, very bad coach with Hackett. Fine. Sean Payton maybe a slight improvement, not by much.
Without freaking out.
I just think Russ hit a mega floor with a terrible coach and got a slightly better coach and became decent again.
Coaching matters.
No. In my eyes, coaching matters. In this case, maybe about this much.
Okay. Let's go on to Andy Hoffman.
Maybe about this much. Can you see my hands? And maybe about an inch.
Yeah, it's
like
crazy.
that.
It's crazy. Let's go on to Andy Hoffman.
No, it's not crazy.
Another member, Andy Hoffman. Thank you, Andy, for being a subscriber.
People will back me on this too. Coaching means nothing.
I don't think. Andy Hoffman says, okay, so first of all, I think this might be the first time I've ever posted a comment prior to the show. Thank you for leaving your first comment. I generally watch you guys long after you posted, and if I have any comments or anything whatsoever to share, you're long off and don't look back. That being said, first, I would like to just say I really do love the show. Wow, all right. That's so far, I'm loving this comment. I'm not only a subscriber, I am a paying subscriber, LOL. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I don't care. I mean, this is on track to be the greatest comment ever. Here's the reality. You have taken a pragmatic approach to talking about the NFL, and in particular the NFC North. What I find the most refreshing is your honest approach to your analysis. We can read comments like this all the time.
This is the most uncomfortable comment. I'd rather be yelling "Go Pack, go!"
Okay, watch it. You're not playing you're not playing to a crowd. Even though my 53 years on this planet, I've never witnessed diehard Vikings fans able to fully comment on the Packers honestly, and then and only then add the personal biases at the end. I think what I get the biggest kick out of is when you start to go into a dialogue where I know, you know, and Ziggy knows it's, and let's face it, going to be anything glowing about the Packers or their success. You can't get 3 words out of your intro, and all Ziggy is doing is shaking his head in disgust. There's the look. We should just have a T-shirt of someone like this.
That's
thank you very much. That's a really nice comment, Andy. We appreciate that.
Ziggy, that's the first time I've seen that your glasses on in a while.
Yeah.
I could do a whole show about the glasses. It could be done. I can't even see you guys on the computer screen. That's like
Ziggy just blind as a bat out here.
I mean, you look even hotter.
could.
You don't got to see us though.
Well, thank you very much, Andy. We appreciate you listening and being a member, subscribing, everything. It means a lot to us, and I'm sure there will be many, many more moments of Ziggy shaking his head in disgust as the Packers probably going on a Super Bowl potential run next year. From another member, Midwest Mountain Man. Thank you. I don't know if we've seen Midwest Mountain Man in the comments. He says, obviously, nobody is talking about the Raiders being Super Bowl contenders, but the benchmark of success is low for this organization. 2 playoff appearances and 0 wins over the last 21 years. If the Raiders sustain their defense from the end of 2023, since they were the last team to beat the Chiefs, that was a great win for you guys. Shut them down. Do you see them snagging a 7 seed this year, despite having the anti-Ziggy as their GM? Or is the AFC too cutthroat to allow even a modicum of hope for Raider Nation?
Hold on, this is the Raiders?
The Raiders.
There's a chance for 7 seed, yeah. They did exactly what they should have done in the draft. You have 2 solid tight ends now.
Yes.
I think it's a massive advantage to have 2 solid tight ends in Bowers and Michael Mayer. I think it's not the 7 seed. Yeah, why not?
I mean, Gardner Minshew almost took that Colts team to the playoffs, right?
Yes.
And now this Raiders team is just better. You got Max Crosby, Davante Adams, Christian Wilkins. Like there are some really good players on this team. Again, am I super confident about them long term? As you say, they're no one's idea of a Super Bowl contender. But they're a good team. They've got a lot of good pieces. And while they're in a tough division where every game could be difficult, sneaking into the playoffs is definitely possible.
Yeah, and again, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here.
AFC's tough though.
Let's just pretend you have
the whole AFC North.
Yeah, well,
the Bills, the Dolphins, the Jets.
You need Aiden O'Connell to be decent. If Aiden O'Connell is decent,
I think it'll be.
Then yeah, I think they make the playoffs.
I actually think it'll be Minshew. I think Minshew is good enough where, again, like Indianapolis, this Raider team, are the Raiders? If you strip quarterbacks, are the Raiders a better team than the Colts?
It's at least
probably
right. Like it's close.
And like we haven't seen AR play an NFL snap yet. Either,
is the Raiders defense from the end of the year when they were coming on? Then I'd say yes. So I do think that Gardner Minshew is good enough for this team to sneak around. But, no one's going to be talking about them as a wild card team really, but they can probably surprise a few people and win some games. Wilkins is a huge addition. I don't think they'll get it, Midwest Mountain Man. But I do think that there's a world where the Raiders get in as that 7 spot. Yeah, I think so.
They're going to be competitive for you. I don't think they're not.
Yeah, who are you competing with? You're going to be competing with the Steelers, maybe the Jets or the Dolphins, or the Bills. I don't think there's as many world beaters in the AFC as there have been. Like the Chargers are down a little bit potentially. I think it's a loaded conference, but not the same way where we're like, oh, okay, these teams are guaranteed. There's some more weaknesses. Just a few more here now. Renegade 2224 says, out of Jack's many insane takes, what's his worst/hottest take?
None.
What the shuck says the green Gatorade at the Super Bowl. That's a great memory. That was a
oh wow.
Yeah, that was one of the worst takes.
That was a brutal
that is an awesome that's an awesome memory.
I mean recently Jack's been kind of on a heater with Colorado being a Midwest state. Coaches don't matter. Like you could really take your pick. What are some other horrendous Jack takes?
How do you think coaching matters in the NFL? How?
I mean, just look at the comment section. We'll see.
Some will agree with me.
So, can you think of any other?
Russ is better because he's Russ. He's good. It's not
Colorado
getting on the sideline.
What? Wait, what did you say, Ziggy?
Colorado in the Midwest might be the worst because that's just verifiably false.
Okay, so you think also like nearly half of America has a bad take?
Yeah, I think a lot of America is stupid. I think a lot of America thinks it's in the Midwest.
What's in the Midwest? Kansas, Nebraska,
Wisconsin, Minnesota.
Look, you're gonna flat out think it's so. You're gonna think it's stupid to say, okay, I think a bordering state could be the Midwest.
I mean, there's only one take Jack makes that is consistently wrong on this show.
But Colorado's not West.
What is it?
Like you got Utah, Arizona, Nevada, California. That's West.
What is Colorado more like? Those states or Kansas, Wisconsin?
I was just in
Look
Denver.
where Colorado is in the country. Look at a map.
But look at the terrain.
Look at a map and tell me, oh, Jack, this is
Jack. Was there a single person who agreed with you in the comments? Everyone said you were wrong.
But look at a map and tell me how you can say it's a ridiculous take. Look at a U.S. map. Say what is the Midwest? Okay, Kansas, blah blah blah. Then look at Colorado, where it's located compared to those states, and tell me I'm an idiot.
I will.
Like Colorado's right there in the Midwest with all those Midwestern states right next to it.
I mean, you draw a line somewhere. That's why it's a map. You draw a line somewhere.
Yeah,
Colorado's the line.
But you're making it seem like this is like an outrageous, like stupid, moronic take.
I think it's stupid.
Like I think stupid is saying, "Oh, Atlanta's in the North." Like saying, Colorado's Midwest is not ridiculous. If half the country,
here you are, renegade.
Like if half the country agrees, it can't be that ridiculous. Look it up.
That's the line. I don't care about half the country.
Yeah, so it can't be a moronic, insane take if half the country's on my side.
I mean, people are wrong on a lot of things.
Colorado's Midwest, coaching means shit.
All right, Benjamin Reary.
Sorry, I've been eating. I'm hangry. I haven't eaten food all day.
He says, "What are some of the most ludicrous trends you've seen in power rankings?" We talked a lot about.
I think we covered that during the power rankings.
I would say we were talking about the Chargers or the Cowboys being left a little too low by a lot of people. That's one of them. And yeah, check out the power ranking segment. Okay, there are two more questions or a couple more questions here. X Pomsky X says, well, we moved from 10.3% to 10.4% towards 100,000 subscribers. We have the slow-mo walk to look forward to, Jack's Darkness Retreat, something Paul can do.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah, we're going to send you.
Oh, when we hit 100K, you're going on a 2-day darkness retreat.
What is this?
Like Aaron Rodgers, the Darkness Retreat.
You were just 2 days alone in a dark room.
Was this the episode I wasn't at?
Yeah. But
you're on the hook.
Zach's been assigning people things.
What was the basis of this thing?
We hit 100,000 subscribers. You will go on a darkness retreat.
I'm doing a darkness retreat, but I never agreed to that. I wasn't here to agree.
Oh, no, I didn't agree to the Packer jersey. Ziggy's going on The Bachelor, for the love of God.
Okay, that's actually worse. I was gonna say you sitting here in a jersey, that's fine.
No,
me going on a darkness retreat.
Yeah, it'll be
fine. Okay, I'll do it. Ziggy Bachelor, yeah, I'll do whatever.
So then he says, 100,000's coming, boys, and it'll be here before you know it. I'm glad to say I was here from the start. Hope you guys continue to grind out the videos as they're super entertaining and brings people like me content in a fun format to know more of what's going on in the NFL. Then says, what's your thoughts on the Davante Adams interview? Do you think he would want to play with Jordan Love? So there's so many interviews going on right now. I went back and watched this before the show started. I don't think you guys have seen it, but Davante Adams went on Max Crosby's show, Raiders teammates, and they were just talking about Davante's time in Green Bay, Jordan Love, his rise to potential stardom here in the NFL. So Crosby said to him, he said, could he be the next one? Meaning, like, could he be the next Packer Hall of Fame quarterback that, of course, we're accustomed to now? He said, I think he is. I think he showed that. I think he's come into his own, the way he's talking to the media, the whole different person from what I saw when I was there. And that comes with experience. He said at the time when he was leaving Green Bay, he said he didn't see enough to believe that Jordan Love could be that guy. And he said he doesn't regret leaving either, because given the situation, how things played out. But in hindsight now, he said, this is a quote from Davante Adams, "Kid's a fucking baller. I'm proud of him. Would love to pull him over to the Raiders." You look back and say, damn, that boy's a baller. I mean, that's a scary thing to hear from as a Vikings fan, is when you have guys like Davante Adams, people who really truly know what they're talking about, saying this,
and who, if anything, could have a grudge against the Packers for not giving him what he wanted. Someone who probably dislikes Green Bay a little bit, saying they found their guy. That's not what I want to see. So I think the takeaway is, obviously it seems he would love to play with Jordan Love. And my thought on it is, he's good. We all know Love's going to be a problem. I hate seeing Davante Adams praise Jordan Love. And as Davante Adams, so many nightmare games with Davante Adams running around Lambeau Field or US Bank Stadium just torching us. When he's saying Jordan Love looks like Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, oh my God, we have another 15 years.
Is he
15?
Is he saying that he just thinks Love is great or that he'd want to play with him.
Oh, he says he wished that he had brought Jordan Love with him to Vegas, but he knows. I don't think he's in Vegas. He acknowledged that he's just would love.
He's in Vegas now, but in all seriousness, if things go poorly for the Packers mid-season, Davante Adams is going to be a guy you're going to hear in trade talks a lot.
Things go poorly for the Raiders.
Yeah, if the Raiders are having a tough start, say the Raiders win 1 or 2 of their first 8 or 9 games, totally possible, right? Then a guy like Davante Adams, he's 32, he's old, he's expensive, you might not want to keep him around. I think there is a legitimate chance mid-season next year you see an Adams-Packers reunion.
Wow, that's a huge claim. Are you serious? Or are you just
I seriously think I think Davante Adams is going to show up in trade talks, and if they get the right kind of return, moving on from him makes a world of sense.
I mean, I know a lot of people were talking about the Packers going after T. Higgins was someone who came up a lot this offseason, but do you think they need another receiver if you already have Dobbs?
I think they want. If Davante Adams is going to be cheap, and then you can cut him or renegotiate.
Do you imagine Davante?
If you're imagine you're the Packers, you're doing really well next year, but you're in a tight race for the division. If you can add Davante Adams
would be a home wrecker.
Yeah,
it's a similar.
Wait. Like the way you feel about Diggs?
Yes.
No.
You have 4 solid young receivers who are Jordan Love's age, all growing together. Why do you want Davante Adams?
They've never had problems. Davante Adams has never had problems.
Second best receiver in football.
Yeah, who eats targets from Love's guys.
Because he's great. Yeah, all right, Packers fans in the comment section, we'll make this a breakout clip.
I bet you they don't. I bet you they do not. I bet you they love their core.
Oh, I think they.
I bet you the Packers would have loved to add a guy. I mean, look, Davante Adams went for what? Over the past 2 years, he's gone for 1,600 yards and 22 touchdowns. 2,600 yards.
Davante Adams is the thing about Davante Adams that I always turns my head is whenever you see the NFL top 100, whatever it is, every single player in the league says that dude's the best. There are a lot of great receivers in football, and most of the time, if you ever have a top 3. It's like Davante Adams is on that list because people have Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Diggs at points, Jefferson. Everyone always agrees Davante Adams is in the top 3, if not 1. I think that dude. That dude is sick.
The Packers don't need him.
So I don't get this though. Why, how could you possibly not want Davante Adams on you? The Packers. Could you imagine that offense with Davante Adams?
Because you have your guys.
Yeah, but he is legit stud. I think the other guys are very, very good players and are going to break out over the next year. But can you imagine if you have to put 2 people on Davante Adams? That's the way it is. If you have 2 people on Davante Adams, you have 4 other receivers, and Bo Melton's also good. Josh Jacobs. Oh my God.
I'm a huge believer in home wreckers in the NFL.
Yeah, maybe Antonio Brown scarred you. I don't think it happens, Ziggy.
That's a different case to me. He was just stealing the whole time.
Do we see the line? Like the Packers are doing great, the Raiders aren't. Davante Adams, you don't have a lot of time left with him. Moving him for like a late round pick would make sense.
Could they afford him? I'm
easily, because Davante Adams, he doesn't have any guaranteed money after 2024, right? And the Raiders are eating the signing bonus. So you just have to pay him a few million this year, and then you can renegotiate next year.
Davante Adams leaving the Raiders makes a lot of sense if they start to crumble. I think they could be in a spot where they're contending for a playoff. Again, probably not.
Green Bay will send in an offer if that happens.
I think all these young stud receivers in Green Bay will feel slighted with Davante Adams on the team.
Yeah, sure, man. I think these young receivers, you listen to them talk, these young receivers want to win games.
They can win them by themselves. They don't need him.
Man,
they've shown that.
Packers offense would be unstoppable with Davante.
It's almost unstoppable now.
One more here from What the Shuck. Another member. Thanks again. And What the Shuck left a comment about the green Gatorades. That was a great comment. He says, hopefully I actually make it in time for the mailbag for once. Who do you guys think is the all-time best team? Taking into account they would need to be able to beat every other team in history. He throws out the 98 Vikings, the 07 Patriots, the 2024 Packers. The best team ever.
Oh, that's a good one. There's been a lot of...
I have a thought about this, but I don't think it's one you guys are going to pick, so I'm going to let you go first.
Man, that Patriots team was really, really good. 19-0.
We're also only 25 years old.
We are. The 85 Bears obviously jumps out as a team with that defense, but Of course, I'm going to say that the 98 Vikings were the best team to never win. And I think they would have been the best team in NFL history had they won at 15-1. Best offense in the history of the league before the Patriots broke the records. But yeah, I'm probably going. Let me just think here.
I'm going to say the 09 Steelers to beat the Cardinals.
The 09 Steelers beat the
ferocious defense. Big Ben in his prime.
I wish I'd seen more of the 85 Bears because, when you hear people talk about them, that defense, I mean, just shut everyone down. Go look at their schedule. It's pretty fun. Look, it's like 3 points, 0 points, 3 points, 0 points.
They made a Super Bowl video before you win it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but yeah, that's probably it, right?
I mean, I didn't watch him play, but from everything I heard, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny when it's always tough to compare eras because I do think that guys playing now are just stronger, faster. So it depends if you weigh that into consideration. But yeah, I'm probably going with who's the best team you ever saw? That's a better question maybe for us.
The 09 Steelers.
Well, I'm just saying I don't think the 85 Bears are the best team of all time.
What do you? I mean, 72 Dolphins were undefeated. I think you're gonna go with like that 15-1 Steelers team.
No. This is a team that here are their 3 playoff games. Beat the Vikings 41-13. Beat the Rams 30-3. Then the Super Bowl beat the Broncos 55-10. You got one of the best offensive players ever in Jerry Rice or Joe Montana getting in the ball. You got Ronnie Lott on defense. The 89 49ers, this is a team a lot of people forget about. You got Roger Craig. There were so many good players on this team. And, I just read that is an authoritative playoff run. When your closest game in the playoffs is 41-13.
Man.
That is dominating everyone. And again, can you imagine a Super Bowl you win 55-10?
No, that was the Chargers Super Bowl.
No, that was the 49ers Broncos.
The Chargers was later. Chargers was the Jerry Rice and Steve Young went 5 or 6 touchdowns in that.
We're talking blowout bowls. How about that Peyton Manning Broncos team?
Yeah, the difference is that Peyton Manning was a little bit of a worse player at that point in his career than Joe Montana.
Yeah, I mean that Bronco defense was great. I'm trying to think, was there any other dominant runs that were? We've been lucky over the course of the time that we've kind of been alive for football games and really acknowledging Super Bowls. We've had great Super Bowls almost always.
And legitimately, my team's been alive. It's been one of the
best.
One of the best.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the 85 Bears, but again, take that with a grain of salt. The 09 Vikings would have been the best team ever had the EJ Henderson not gotten injured. All right. And there's one more. He says, do you guys play any football video games? If so, what's your favorite ones? Oh my God. Yeah,
I am the world's best player.
No. I am the world's best NFL Street player. And Ziggy and I contest for the crown of NFL Street.
It really wasn't close. You were okay at execution. I was Bill Belichick and Tom Brady.
I used to beat your ass towards the end.
But then I learned how the game works. I was Bill Belichick and Tom Brady in one. Innovator, executor, always elite.
Classic. NFL Street is a phenomenal game.
My favorite NFL video game was probably Madden 09 on the Wii.
That was fun. That was also a lot of fun. Last thing Shuck said was, over 100 years ago, children worked in coal mines. Today, one of the most popular games kids play is Minecraft. Do the children yearn for the mines? Yes. Yeah. I mean, I always found myself going mining late at night in Minecraft. What a great game! A very addictive game at one point in my life. Could have been a problem. All right, we will call it a show there. Thanks again for everyone who listened, liked, subscribed to the channel, who's become a member. I mean, that was a long show. We're on a roll here right now.
But we appreciate you all. We're going to keep doing shows.
We've been on a roll.
I haven't eaten in 12 hours.
The mailbags get out of hand. It's fun though. It's a lot of fun.
If they join and become members, the mailbags are going to have to continue being out of hand.
Yeah, we appreciate it. That was a fun show, guys. All right, we'll talk to you guys next week. Appreciate all the comments as always, and see you soon.